I am really good at swooping in at the last moment and saving the day. Who likes to do this? Who does this? You come in at the 11th hour, oh my gosh, we need some help. And oh yeah, no problem, let me just, right? My friend, she calls this the curse of competency. Oh, there you go again, doing that thing. As a result, I used to be an overcommitter. Clients, they learned to depend on me at the last minute. They'd call me up last minute, Friday night. Oh my gosh, Christina, we have a marketing campaign tomorrow and we need to quick get everything going. We need to launch this. And I'd say, oh, no problem. I don't have any weekend plans. I'll just forget that. Right? Does this sound familiar? I used to stay up late. I used to pull all-nighters. I'd get 2 hours, 3 hours of sleep a night. There was a time in my life where I scheduled burnout. Every quarter, I would say, okay, that's just the week that I'm going to be sick. Who works like that? And so my body would just go, 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 and I would tell myself, that's okay. My sick week is coming. It's okay if I could just hang in there. No. And so I was always grumpy. I was always overworking. So I had this friend. Man, I had this friend, I used to co-work with her. And so I'd bring my computer over, we'd sit in her kitchen, pull everything up, and we'd work. So one day I go over to her house, set up my stuff in her kitchen, start unpacking, and she goes, just a minute. Why don't you just come over here in the living room? And I was like, oh, we're gonna work in the living room. Okay. So I pack up my stuff and she's like, no, leave your stuff there. Now I'm getting a little concerned. Like, what do you mean? Come on in, come on. Have a seat. Okay, fine. Sit on the couch. What is this all about? Would you like some tea? I was like, fine, give me the tea. Like, what are we doing here? So she's making the tea and I'm just sitting there waiting. And she comes down and sits next to me on the couch beside me. And she says, what are we going to do about your hands? Because I had developed neuropathy so bad that I couldn't use my hands anymore. My friends had to open up my water bottles for me, my sugar packets. I couldn't do things. I actually traveled with a pair of channel locks with tools because I lost the ability to have opposable thumbs. And still, I would sit there through tears, through pain, because I gotta get it done. So what? People are depending on me. I'm very, very important. And she said, so what are we going to do about your hands? And I said, oh, no, I just started my consultancy. Come on, it's only been like 3 or 4 years. You got to push through the pain, right? She said, but you have carpal tunnel. I said, I'll get surgery. And she said, you know what? If you don't think your hands are so important, let's go down to the Veterans Hospital. And you can go talk to some veterans who don't have their hands and tell them how hands are not important. Nobody's asking you to sacrifice your beautiful hands, Christina. And that was a wake-up call for me. I realized I had to make some changes, and my good dear friend, Tori Jones, was kind enough to sit me down on her couch, give me some tea, and say, what are you doing? You can't live like this. This is not sustainable, right? And when it came down to it, I realized that I was overcommitting. I was serving myself up on other people's tables, and they were all just taking little bites out of me. And I was just doing that because I just wanted to please people. Who does this? We end up overcommitting, right? And I was like, I gotta fix this. So that's what I did. I decided I was going to take this on. I was going to learn how to say no. I was going to do it like a semester in college, right? 3 months. Unfortunately, I am very, very stubborn, and it took me 6 months. It didn't take 3 months. It took 6 months. But, now I can use my hands. I can play my ukulele. I can do lots of fun stuff. I can use my hands again, and that's fantastic. And I hired a team, so now I didn't have to work my hands so hard, right? And so now whenever I start to overcommit and I find myself in that tendency, I think back to my dear friend Tori Jones and sitting me on that couch and making me drink that stupid cup of tea to listen to her go, what are you doing? My name is Christina Aldan. I'm a speaker, I'm an author, a trainer, brand strategy consultant, and I sit on the board of directors for mental health organizations. I'm also certified in mental health first aid as a trainer. If you want to continue this conversation online, you can use the hashtag #LuckyNo. And I want to say thanks so much to Build Stuff. This is my second time here. I love this conference so much, and all of the sponsors, so thank you so much. This is what we're going to talk about today. Mastering the art of the unapologetic no. We need to learn that, huh? Here's a great quote by Brené Brown. In my research, I found that the core of authenticity is a courage to be imperfect, vulnerable, and to set boundaries. And there are a lot of different types of boundaries that we come across at work. There's sound boundaries, right? Some of us might use sound boundaries. We have non-negotiables. Our non-negotiables are the things that are going to make or break relationships for us. Our personal relationships, our professional relationships. These are our non-negotiables, and they're related to our core values, the things that make us tick, what drives us. Time boundaries. It's hard to enforce these sometimes, right? I was talking to a couple of the other speakers. In fact, outside, they're working right now. Somebody's got a midnight meeting. Somebody's got a 2 a.m. meeting. Boundaries, time are sometimes hard. Physical boundaries. I'm a hugger. Who else is a hugger in here? So whenever I see someone, I have a friend, she's not a hugger. And I just got to let her know. I'm like, I'm coming in. Here it comes. She has some strong physical boundaries. Mental and emotional boundaries, material, financial boundaries. All of these are different types of boundaries that we resist. Why do we resist saying no? For programmers, for developers, it might mean more bugs, missed deadlines. Really, it's just a general decline in the quality of the code and the quality of work that we do because we're overworked. We don't sleep. Remember, I was sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night, right? Pulling all-nighters. You're not doing your best work. Maybe we just want people to like us. Maybe we're in the startup phase and we think that we have to take on every single project. That's certainly what my story was when my friend Tori sat me down. I was new and I felt I had to take on every single project. Sometimes we want to help. Sure, I want to support my aunt and her quilting business, and I could just pop up a quick WordPress website over the weekend to help her. But listen, you do that, and then a couple weeks later, she needs something, and then a couple days later, she needs something, and then pretty soon you're like, how did I become my aunt's personal web developer, like on call for anytime her WordPress website breaks, right? And it can be really harmful for us if we're taking care of others' needs and sacrificing our own. Maybe it's super fun networking event, but listen, even the fun things take energy. I'm based in Las Vegas. I know that there's lots of fun things out there, but even the fun things require energy. Maybe we're afraid of being rude or unprofessional. Maybe we would rather lower our boundaries than deal with conflict. Sometimes we were raised to avoid conflict. And this can also be cultural. There can be cultural resistance. Company culture can be cultures from different countries. We have different teams, right? There could be gender-specific resistance. Some people, they take no as an insult, and we just don't like that, right? Because then when you say, no, who has that friend? No, I'm not really feeling it tonight. I'm not going to, oh, no, come on. It'll be fun. So-and-so is going to be there, and you don't want to disappoint the other person, and you got to come, right? And we want to avoid that conflict. So in the end, we might tolerate people, even if we know that they're taking advantage of us. Because basically, we just want to avoid looking like a jerk, right? And so I jump on the call with the usual suspects. They're a Java developer group. And I was telling them, I'm doing this talk. It's learn to say no without being a jerk. And one of them said, Christina, what's wrong with being a jerk? I was like, yeah, this talk, it's not for you. You're good. You're fine. You have no problem saying no. But, people always used to tell me that I needed better boundaries, but they never told me what it looked like. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to tell you exactly what it looked like, how I practice, and at the end, I'm going to give you the exact phrases that worked for me, tried and true. They work with my mentees, and they work with all of my coaching clients as well. So, here's the thing. When we resist saying no, it's usually based on a fear, right? It's fear of something. And we need to look at those fears and look at the root cause of why we're avoiding saying no. Because fear, it can present itself in a lot of different ways. We have fear of abandonment. This is a big one for me. Fear of abandonment. We don't want people to go away. Fear of missing out. And this one is so big, we've got an acronym for it. How about this one? Fear of not good enough. Who recognizes that one? Fear of not good enough. Fear of imperfection. Oh, man. I used to work with somebody who was stuck in analysis paralysis. Never launched anything. 97, 98% good, and then it would never get out because it wasn't perfect enough, so we're never going to launch it. Fear of not belonging. A lot of us, we just want to belong, yeah? And then also the fear of judgment. Who doesn't want to get canceled? I remember somebody on Twitter has said, today the goal, every day on Twitter, it's a game, and the goal is to not be the person who goes viral on Twitter today, right? We don't want to be canceled today. Oops, fear of judgment. I was on the wrong slide. And fear of change and fear of judgment, yeah. So, the thing about it is that these fears, they hold us back and they prevent us from doing our best work and from living our best lives, So I want to share today the strategies that I learned. They're tried and true. I've been using them for a long time, over a decade, with my mentorship calls, with my coaching calls, and with different teams that I've worked with. So saying no is a really important skill to have because it's how we set boundaries. And I want to give you the difference between boundaries and rules. Boundaries are about you, rules are about them. Boundaries communicate how you're going to respond if something happens, right? In situations that you don't want to engage in. That it's how you communicate. It's not controlling the behavior of others. Boundaries, they protect your well-being. It outlines your actions that you're going to take, and it doesn't place obligations on someone else to force them to change their behavior in a certain way to try to control them. So, boundaries are about you. Rules are something we're obligated to. Rules are about them. We need to focus on our goals. We are way more efficient when we focus on the goal that we want to accomplish instead of splitting up our time, fractionalizing our mind, right? It's an important skill because we need to stay connected to our why. When I was overcommitting, let's be honest, it was about me, right? I want to come in and save the day. I want to be important. They need me. Who else is going to do it? Oh my gosh, they forgot. No problem. Let me just save you. It's great. Right? When we stay connected to our why, we understand this is the project we're working on. It's about the client. It's about the specs. It's about what we're building. It's not about me. That's the important part. Have you heard the phrase, good fences make good neighbors? Who's heard of that phrase? Good fences make good neighbors. Because good neighbors, they respect everybody else's property because the expectations are managed. So farmers keep their fences nice and strong so that your horses don't go into somebody else's farm, right? Their neighbors. When we know those expectations of the relationship, it helps communicate respect for that relationship. Yourself, your family, your friends, all these quality of relationships improve because you're actually saying no more often and you're respecting your boundaries. It's important because our quality of work, our products are way better when we're fully present at the task at hand. Do you think that I was fully present on 2 hours of sleep for months and months and months? You can't even think. Data tell us over and over again that you have brain fog and that your quality of work, you'll have more mistakes and more errors. Because what happens when we say yes all the time? When we overcommit, we start cutting ourselves out. Right? Personal needs like eating, like sleeping, going to the gym, playing with our kids, relaxing. All of these things fall by the wayside. Vacation. People stop doing those kinds of things. When we say yes all the time, we get sick. We get a to-do list that is never ending and it just feels overwhelming, like it's never, who had talked about the backlog and how, Glenn did the talk about how the backlog is just never ending and you feel like you just haven't accomplished a thing. We say yes all the time, we rush through things. I had an office, I worked on a project where we installed 36 public computer centers in Las Vegas in underserved communities. And so I had an office and I would be like, busting out of the office, walking down the hallway, come with me, walk and talk. And people would be like, Christina, slow down. I would bulldoze everybody. And we make mistakes all the time. Our work is mediocre when we overcommit. This is the other thing. I was sitting around with my coach one day and I said, look, I'm never gonna get this website. I need to cancel plans tonight. And she looked at me and she said, I thought you were looking forward to that show, right? I live in Vegas. Remember, we have all different kinds of shows and music, and there's always things going on. And so I was going to go out that night with my friends. And she said, so you're the flaker friend. You're the last-minute flaker friend. She's like, I got one of those. I was like, I'm not a flaker. Look, I stay up all night and I work really hard. And she's like, yeah, but your friends are suffering. You just told me you're last minute canceling this show on your friends. Didn't they get tickets? I'm like, yeah, they'll find somebody else. Yeah, but you're the flaky friend. I'm so busy. I got this deadline. I got to cancel last minute. Eventually, my friends just stopped asking me to go out and do things. Right? Who's felt like this person before? You go out and you're like, you know what? I just want to invite some people over. Why don't you all come over for pizza? We're going to have board game night and hang out. And you did all the work for the planning and the ordering. And then the board game is so fun. And it's the end of the night. And people go, you need help cleaning up? And I go, no, it's fine. Okay, this was so much fun. Bye. And there I am at the end of the night, stuck with all the dishes in the cleanup, resenting everybody. Nobody helped me with these dishes. Nobody paid for the pizza. I did this and I did that, right? And I'm quietly resenting people when I was the one who let my boundaries fail, right? When we say yes all the time, we might end up feeling resentful to the very people whom we wanted to help hang out with, right? So here are some strategies that work. You don't have to take pictures or anything like that because I'm going to give you an opportunity at the end to download my slide deck. And so, let's talk about some of these strategies. I'm going to give you some action steps and then some phrases that totally work. And then I'm also going to talk about some ways to hack your brain. So the first action step is to block time and honor it. You need to block out time for yourself, time to hike, time in the park. For me, connecting with nature is really what grounds me. Hanging out with my kids really grounds me. Love that stuff. Even if it's just time to binge watch. You know what? I want to binge watch my favorite TV series, whatever. Time for the gym. Block time and honor it. Somebody would call me up last minute. You want me to launch this on a Friday? Okay, sure. Let me cancel my show tickets with my friends. Staying committed and honoring your own time is really a key for being consistent and having integrity in your career. Next, ask yourself, am I feeling obligated? Is this an obligation? Do I want to fulfill that obligation? I mean, lots of times it is an obligation that we need to fulfill, right? But if I'm doing it and I'm tired and it's that one friend who's like, come on out, and I'm like, I don't want to go out tonight, I'm tired, I'm going to go to bed early. Oh, come on, don't be a jerk, just come on out, it's just going to be a little bit, one drink, it's just dinner, it's just, right? And then I start feeling resentment toward them. It's not a good feeling, because I felt obligated and I felt pressured into doing it because of their friendship and their pressure. So, start assessing for yourself whether a task is necessary or obligatory. Sure, could I pop up a WordPress website over the weekend real quick and help my aunt? Sure, I could do that. But then do I really want to do the maintenance for her forever for free anytime she doesn't know how to log in, or she forgets her password, or she uploads something that she shouldn't, or right? Maybe there's a small change that you can make to make it an emphatic yes. I use this as a negotiation tool as well, especially when we're interviewing for new jobs, especially when we're looking at different positions, or even for intakes, for client intakes. What would it take? Sometimes it's not really a no, but it's not quite there. And I go, hey, let me tell you what would make this really great for us. This is what would really work for us. Practice and gamify it. You can practice saying no with little things first. It's a little hard for us. It can be scary to say no. It certainly was for me at first, if you're used to saying yes all the time. So you can practice with small little things. You can tell your friends and your family that you're practicing. They're going to be more than willing to help. So you can make it a game. And the last action step is to decide. You really have to decide, and that certainly was the case with me, because I hadn't decided, even through my pain, even through my tears, even as I was sitting there wearing wrist braces, still on my computer, not an ergonomic keyboard either. I was just, super stubborn for some reason. But when my friend Tori Jones sat me down and really helped me understand what was going on and how it was affecting my health and well-being and my relationships and my friendships. When she really helped me understand that, it really helped me decide, make a decision. Because being wishy-washy, nobody likes being wishy-washy. It's unprofessional. And if you don't honor your boundaries, why should anyone else, right? The other thing that worked for me is hacking your brain. And I know this also works because I had somebody, I did a talk back in the US, and somebody came up to me and said, hey, you're Christina Aldan. And I said, maybe, I don't know. And he said, I took your workshop 6 years ago, and you told us about that password thing, and I still make my team do that, and it's super awesome. And so you can change your password, change your mind. And so think about, at the time, I checked Facebook like 50,000 times a day. And so what I would do is I would log out of Facebook every single time I checked it and then log back in. And my password was things like, just say no, and no way, Jose, and saying no comes easily to me. Because of how our brain stores information. I do a talk about memory and how we compartmentalize things in our memory subsystems. And the more sensory information and the more data we can use to associate with an experience, the more it will imprint into our nervous system. Essentially, it kind of deepens the groove of the neural pathways. We get more proteins, the myelinated sheaths get thicker, and you'll get more connections as well. So if you could do little things like this, like changing your password, changing your mind, and log out of Facebook 50,000 times a day, and you start typing, saying no comes easily to me 50,000 times a day, it helps to shift your brain. Here's one. This one is shifting your perspective. Do we have time for this? We do have time for this. Excellent. Everyone, please put your feet down on the floor, sit up straight, and take a deep breath. We're going to shift our perspective right now, together, in the whole room. Ready? I want you to close your eyes and take a breath. Excellent. And close your eyes and feel your butt in your seat and feel what it's like from a first-person point of view. First-person perspective. You can feel what it's like to be here at Build Stuff, Lithuania. Man, you've probably been listening to technical talks all day. It's nice to have a little palate cleanser, a soft skills leadership talk, right? And you're excited, and maybe you're a little tired, and you're thinking about the attendee party, and maybe you skipped lunch, and you're excited, and you're hungry, and you're thinking, when is she going to stop? I'm hungry. But, we're going to get there. But you can feel what it's like to be you from a first-person perspective. And everybody take a deep breath. Beautiful. And I want you to keep your eyes closed and think what it's like to be me. I'm standing up here, Build Stuff, Lithuania, very excited. I'm excited to wear my new dress. I'm excited to look out at the audience. Close your eyes back there. And I'm pacing because I'm super energetic. And of course, my arms are everywhere. Somebody once told me, are you sure you're not Italian? Like, you very... You could feel what it's like to be me. I'm excited to be here. I love teaching, and I love sharing what I've learned with people. And you can see it from the second person point of view. And I want you to keep your eyes closed now and inhale. And now I want you to zoom out of the room as if you were watching us on TV. Now, don't change the channel. For me, this is like an old-timey TV with the dials, with the I don't know if you, but the old-timey TV where we're watching the interaction between you, between me. You can see me pacing. Everybody's listening, paying attention. Close your eyes back there. And you can see what it's like from a third-person perspective. You can look at the room. You can see the camera guy, the sound guy back there. And you really understand the whole picture and the dynamics going on in the room, the relationship dynamics, why I'm here, why you're all here. And we'll take a deep breath again. And now open your eyes. Thanks for playing. So who could see themselves? First person perspective, raise your hand. You could see it from your own point of view, right? Who could see it from my point of view? You see what it's like to be me? Yeah, I definitely knew because you were like giggling and yeah, I could see. So, and then who was able to zoom out and see it as if we were on TV, watching as a third party? Yes, exactly. This is how it works. Now, it's a little harder when you have a prima donna at work who's in your face all the time, or, the sales team who oversold is out golfing, and now all the developers are working at overtime on the weekend, or the project manager doesn't have this or that, or heck, your kid storms in throwing a fit because they wanted to borrow the car keys, and you're like, no, emotions are high. But this is the technique you use, even when emotions are high, especially when emotions are high, because you can see the interpersonal dynamics between people. Heck, if you want to be fun about it, pretend it's a telenovela, right? Pretend it's drama. What's going on in the drama today at work? See it from your perspective, what your position is. See it from their perspective, what their position is, what their non-negotiables are. Remember, we talked about those boundaries. And then see it from a third-person perspective. How are people engaging and interacting? That is where the magic is. The next trick for hacking your brain is things like NLP. Who's heard of NLP? And I don't mean any, yeah, what's NLP? Yes, neuro-linguistic programming. Yep, neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro-linguistic programming, self-hypnosis, audiobooks. There was a time in my life for 3 years straight, I listened to some sort of NLP or self-hypnosis. The best time to do this is when your brain is still a little bit tired, just before bed, just when you're waking up, just before meditation, just after meditation. So the information gets less resistance from your conscious mind. That's the best time to use those. Tapping Solutions app is another really good one when your emotions are running high. What I love about this is it's just a willingness to use the app tells your brain, I'm willing to shift this. I'm willing to shift these emotions, so I'm going to use the app. And the app comes in and it goes, hey, how stressed are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And I always want to hit like a 15. How stressed are you from 0 to 10? And I say, 10. Fine, I'm going to do this tapping thing and do it. And then it goes, how stressed are you now? And I go, 9.5, fine. Oh, do it again. But really, it's the willingness of me doing it that tells my brain, you know what, I'm willing to shift this. I'm not really happy with this state, this emotional state. I need to manage my mindset better. I know that it's not good for me to make decisions in this emotional state. Here's the thing to remember about all of this. Practice makes perfect. And so attending a talk, 45-minute talk, isn't going to just magically go, oh yeah, no, I'm excellent at saying no now. You have to practice. Remember, for me, it took 6 months, 6 months of every day intentionally doing something. And so it's almost like a self-directed study. Remember, I said I was going to take on saying no, just like a semester in college. And so what I did is I read something about saying no every single day, or on my Facebook tribe, I popped things up on Facebook and I would say, hey, somebody ask me a yes or no question. And we'd get really convoluted because I would be like, well, I don't not want to it would be really weird because I'd find creative ways to say no, but I really wanted to say yes. You listen to audio, right? We talked about NLP or audiobooks. Set reminders. I set reminders on my phone because our brains process images much faster than any other thing. So if I have a reminder on my phone that says, just say no, when I'm in a meeting where I turn it off, boom, I turn off the alert, it doesn't matter. Even if I don't consciously recognize it, subconsciously, I do. Subconsciously, my subconscious takes that information in. Watching videos, putting pen to paper. When we put our pen to paper, remember what I said about memory and how we store things with subsystems. When we can bring in as many senses as possible, then we're going to remember things more. That's how we learn. It's how we encode, store, retrieve data. So pen to paper helps. We teach best what we need to learn. If you really want to get good at saying no, you should write a talk about learning how to say no and then deliver it all over the world at tech conferences and watch how it stays top of your mind, saying no. You can role play. Role playing, when we do this, we're practicing setting up the environment and the circumstances for when the real deal comes, right? I have a role-playing workshop that I do, and it's every second Friday online. We do it at 10 a.m. Pacific, so that's probably pretty late over here, actually. That's like 8 p.m. But second Friday of every month, and we role-play real-world scenarios like, what do you do when you have a prima donna on the team? What do you do when your boss changes your schedule? What do you do when your boss promotes somebody else over you who's less qualified and changes your schedule? And so we role play those kinds of things. So if you have scenarios that are difficult at work and you want to say something to a supervisor or team leader about, you should role play it first in advance, because then you make those neural pathways. And remember, when we reinforce those neural pathways, deepens that groove. That's how we learn. That's how we learn. It's called neuroplasticity. So here are the exact phrases that I learned and that I still use with my mentees, with my coaching clients, and every now and then when I find myself getting into a rut, because the tendency is still there, now I just catch myself faster, right? It never really went away. I just have more awareness now when I start to lean into, oh gosh, I'm doing that thing again. I need to back up a little and gain some more of my time. So these are the exact phrases that I've used to lighten up my workloads. You know, I have better quality work. I have better relationships, both professionally and personally. And, you know, just improve job satisfaction because you're not constantly overwhelmed and resentful. Here's one. Thanks so much for thinking of me. Unfortunately, I have another commitment at that time. I'm copying Jane Doe, who's an expert on this subject, and she's more than qualified to speak at your event. I used to get asked to speak locally a lot because I was co-managing director for Girls in Tech Las Vegas for 4 years, and we did all kinds of educational programs out in the community. And then people started asking me to speak, and then they started asking me to speak more, and then it was more, and I couldn't just go around speaking for free all day. I had to do things like take care of my kids and other stuff, right? Laundry. So this is really good. I love this because it also lifts other people up in our community, right? Here's one. I'm not the best person to help out with this. There's probably someone more appropriate to ask. That's a nice soft no. If it were any other day or time, I would do it. Unfortunately, I have another commitment. This is for like when, you know, your friend really wants to go to that Saturday morning hike up the, and I'm like, what time are you leaving, girl? Like 6:30 a.m. It's just a little much for me. I have another commitment with my bed at that moment. It just doesn't work for my calendar. Talk to the calendar. Maybe my calendar can fix that. I don't know. This doesn't meet my needs now, but I'll keep you in mind for future reference. This is for all those LinkedIn people that you get, hey, thanks for adding me, blah, 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 blah. Here's my book and do this and that, blah, 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 right? This doesn't meet my needs right now, but I'll keep you in mind for future reference. Another one that I use on LinkedIn is, no, thank you. We're happy with our current team. Unfortunately, it looks like it won't work for me. Ooh, that one's a little hard if you don't like saying no. That one's a little much, but that's like something you graduate to if you have a really hard time saying no right now. Yeah, this is something you graduate to. Thank you for thinking of me. Unfortunately, my calendar's full at that moment. What does the first week of next month look like to you? Man, that darn calendar. Ugh. What are we going to do about that calendar? I don't know. Just, unfortunately, my calendar, somehow, I just don't feel like I could give you my full time and attention on this. I mean, I could do it, but it's going to suck. Do you really want me to do it? It's probably not. I don't think this is going to work. Thanks for asking me, but I'm already committed to something that day. I mean, that's nice and pleasant, right? That's a nice one. I use this one for our nonprofit too, because we have a lot of people with our mental health advocacy group, and they'll want us to come to this thing and come to this thing and this thing. Thanks for asking us, but we're already committed to something on that day. Thank you for considering us. That's a nice soft no. I promised my business partner I wouldn't take on any more projects. This is great if you have somebody else to blame. That is really good, somebody else to blame. I did that with my co-managing director with Girls in Tech Las Vegas, because at one point we were doing like 4 or 5 events a month. And she was like, oh my gosh, why are we, we got to work, right? I have like a job. We just nonprofit stuff. And finally, she's like, just tell them that I said no. And so that's what I started doing. I'd be like, oh, no, I'm sorry, I promised Amber I wouldn't take any more. Maybe next year, maybe. It's helpful to have another person to blame. I can't do that, but let me tell you what I can commit to. I get those on Meetup all the time. Hey, let's do this, and will you do that? You know, I can't go to your event, but I can share it on social media. I can't really donate money, but I can give you some swag, some stickers or something like that, right? If you give them an alternative, it still kind of helps fulfill that need that I have to be liked, right? So I really like this one because I still get to do that thing that I do, but I'm still kind of saying no. Ooh, this one I just added. Build stuff, Lithuania, you're the first ones to see this one. My policy is not to comment on that. This is a really good one for gossip at workplace. My policy is not to comment on that. I'm like, oh, your policy. Oh, cool. I need that policy. I need some policies. I like that one. At the end of the day, though, if they're still pressing you and you've tried all of these things, you're dealing with a jerk, and you have my full permission to just bounce. Turn around and walk away, because no matter what you say at that moment, they don't care. If you've already given them the polite no, the soft no, and they're still pushing, and they're pushing on your boundaries, and they're forcing you to enforce your boundaries, then I say, enforce them. I want to give you some final words of caution, but I did promise you that you could download my slide deck, and I'd like some feedback. Here is the QR code. You can scan this. It'll take about 60 to 90 seconds. You type in the code Lucky No. It does ask for your email. I can't turn that off, but I've had this for over 3 years, and I've never sent anyone emails, so I don't know if you can worry too much about me spamming you. Maybe I'll send an email eventually. Regardless, this will give you a copy of my slide deck and a really good website at the end too. That's in the slide deck as well, so you'll be able to see that. Ooh, so fun. I get to see the Line Breakers set list up here. Oh, it's changed already. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So the last few notes of caution. First of all, it's important for you to be honest. People prefer you're honest instead of passive aggressive. So if you say maybe later, make sure you mean maybe later, right? If you say not now, but maybe next week, make sure that you mean maybe next week, because they're going to come back around, and then you're going to say, oh, no, maybe later. And you're going to keep pushing them, and they're going to be like, what is going on here? It's either yes or it's no. Like, why are you being passive aggressive? Just tell me how you feel, right? So people will much prefer that you're honest instead of passive aggressive. So don't say, please keep me in mind for next time, unless you really mean it, right? The other thing is beware of the reluctant yes. Who does this? You say, yes, I guess I could do it, right? Ask yourself that question. What would it take to make this an emphatic yes? How can we just tweak it to make it work, right? And the last thing is this great website that I found about how to professionally say it. And what I love about this is that I type in things like, I told you 2 months ago, and it spits back out how to say it professionally. It's a great, great database. And so you can go visit that website and you can say things like, that's my idea. And it'll come back up and say, per our conversation last month when I brought this up, and it tells you how to say it professionally instead of just being like, you're a damn liar, yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, I want everybody to remember this. No is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. And using these techniques and strategies, it has really helped me gain more control over my schedule, improve my sleeping, improve my relationships. I no longer suffer from burnout, which is awesome. And remember, if we're really looking deeper into why we're doing something and what the motivation is, and it can really help us create healthy boundaries, get better results in our work and in our relationships. And you don't have to be a jerk about it. Thank you very much.